Thank you, and good morning.
Good morning.
We'd like to thank you for inviting us. And Charlie told me I only had, what, I think you said 1 minute, Charlie? Probably a little longer than that, but it's good to do this because oftentimes people who are involved in programs like this think it just happened. You don't really know what caused it or the sacrifices really that many people made in bringing us to where we are today. Looking at the video, it brought back a lot of memories, and talking to Dick there, he said, you know, it'd be great if Ural was here. And I said, Ural is here. He still speaks through many of us, and we certainly miss him. I have to write everything down now because, let me first say that I thought I would have been dead 36 years ago because of our activity in Kansas City, Kansas. So I've passed that by 36 years. We'd just like to make some comments as to really what was going on in Kansas City, Kansas, in particular the Northeast area. When NAG came into being, I was on the other fringe, way out there, doing a whole lot of things. So NAG was kind of the toned-down organization that we got involved in. I came out of CORE, so we did a whole lot of things. If you're familiar with the civil rights movement and what was going on across this country. So let me read what I have written down. In 1963 and 1964, there was a flurry of activity in the Northeast area of Kansas City, Kansas. There was a desegregation lawsuit, Downs versus the Kansas City, Kansas Board of Education, where some of us almost went to jail for 10 years. And there were attempts to get companies located in Wyandotte County to hire blacks. And many companies, particularly in the Fairfax area, would hire us only in menial tasks. There was a raging debate in Wyandotte County about fair housing, particularly in the state senate race. We had even a former governor who was an advocate opposed to fair housing, and a number of people. George Haley was elected state senator from that area in 1964. 18th Street, if you're familiar with Kansas City, Kansas, on the west was basically the dividing line for the majority of African American citizens. There were some blacks who lived on the other side of 18th Street, but there were not a lot of them. So we lived in a very congested area, but it had a very positive side because Kansas City, Kansas, when you took in all of the black citizenry, probably had one of the most educated communities that you would find anywhere in the United States, and that's always overlooked by everybody. The war on poverty was being waged, and in the Northeast area of Kansas City, Kansas, NAG, or the Northeast Action Group, was born. And they were attempting to address some of the issues that affected this area, particularly in the Juniper Gardens area. The first coordinator of NAG was John Burris, who's on the screen. And I said that I've got to leave here as soon as I finish because, as Charlie stated, there is a fatherhood program. We're having a picnic, and John is a coordinator. We believe that two old guys were still out there. And his assistant for the first NAG program was Uriel. The Northeast area at this time had a relatively strong economic base. There were a number of businesses there that were owned and operated by residents of the area. And different from most northern cities, the businesses that were located there, bank, insurance companies, things that you wouldn't even think of. The schools had began to deteriorate because many of the strong African American teachers had been removed and sent to other schools for integration purposes. They were replaced by inexperienced teachers who had no concept of teaching children who had cultural differences than their own. There was strong opposition to the closing of Stowe Elementary School, which was located at 5th and Richmond, which was right adjacent to Juniper Gardens, and the busing of students to Major Hudson Elementary School, which was located in the Greystone area. When the children's project, Juniper Gardens Children's Project, came into the area, many of us were apprehensive because of what we were experiencing with the school district, the elected officials, and the companies that were opposed to equal employment. We feel that the information that would be gathered would be misinterpreted, and the blame the victim syndrome would be enhanced. Much of the poverty we felt and we knew was due to the lack of job opportunities. Many of the residents who lived in the Northeast area had left Kansas City, Kansas because of the lack of job opportunities and a negative political climate. The exodus left a leadership leadership vacuum, which to this day has not been replaced. The fears of some of us were somewhat relieved after the Children's Project began to hire some of the people from the immediate community who were respected, like Mary Wilkins, who you saw, and also the personality of Vance Hall and Dick Schifferbush. And that's written down, Vance. I didn't just put that in. But the personality of these two persons relieved many of the fears that we had. The war on poverty changed when the Green Amendment was passed, and many of the people involved in the poverty program throughout the country felt betrayed again, and NAG began to decline. Just a few individuals who were involved and played an important role in the Northeast area during this time was Carl Randolph Sr., which is a name that you will never hear, but was really the person who was the impetus behind everything that happened in Kansas City, Kansas. That's my opinion. Kermit Kitchen Sr., Senator Beverly, Dr. Reverend G. Harris Collinwood from the Episcopal Church, Tom Lassiter from Turner House, Dr. Lewis Bass, Vern Burleson, and of course Earl Owens, and my sister Virginia Kirkwood. It wasn't a family thing, we were just all involved and lived, and I still live in the immediate area. The times were different and probably will not be duplicated. It was a learning process for many of us, and a few of us who are left are still struggling to make life better for everyone. We do thank you, and I would like to stay and listen to part of Dr. Schifferbush, so I'm going to have to scoot out. So John is waiting on along with some of the other mentors, and we're trying to do some things to make the community positive. Thank you for inviting me, and I'm looking forward to coming back this evening. Thank you.